Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage I've got a major fleet update for you and basically the reveal of what is my new car. But other things to cover as well. Number one, huge congratulations to Manuel from Spain, who was the winner of our 2020 calendar competition. Well done. I know you've received a lot of plaudits from others in our little community via the comments, and well and truly deserved. It's a fine looking car and a fabulous photograph. And obviously I've seen the calendar because I designed it, and it looks really good on our cover. So congratulations to everybody who joined in with the competition. Genuinely been an absolute joy to look at the photographs. I won't hide the fact that it's been an absolute nightmare in terms of the amount of effort that went in. I had no concept what I was letting myself in for. I must have invested a literal 2 weeks of my life in that, in bits and pieces, which is no mean feat, in between doing a few videos, doing some work and actually enjoying myself. So we'll see about next year's, hopefully, but I'll have to come up with a slicker way of doing things. So that's happening. Other piece of news related to that calendar is everybody who sent in an eligible photograph, and don't worry about saying, oh, was mine eligible, wherever. The only people's photographs who were not eligible were the few photographs, and you know who you are, that were not of XK8s, XKRs, X100s. The few photographs that had maybe inappropriate things in. And there was a couple of photographs where you'd sent in 2 images under different names, but it was quite evidently the same car. And yeah, again, so if you've sent in a photograph, it's in the calendar. Every single entry that was eligible I've put in there. So we've got our 12 major shots. Manuel obviously is on the front cover as well as inside the calendar, and I've put thumbnails of all of the entrants scattered throughout the calendar. So if you sent in your image, you should be in there. And I'll be putting out a video shortly that just shows those images. I'm not going to do much with it other than say, here's the entrance, thank you very much. So if you want to know if you're in the calendar, basically look at that video. Cool. That should be available in the next couple of weeks. As soon as it is, I'll let everybody know. I've been having a serious clear out and I'm still on the journey, but the garage is getting back to the way I like it. Still a lot of stuff in that corner to be dealt with. Still my shelves aren't quite right. But I've been doing loads of work on reconfiguring all my little boxes, my shelves, etc. It's a big journey, but sorts of thing that I actually enjoy doing. It's just very time consuming. So, you know, all your copper washers, basically in ranks of sizes, bigs, mediums and smalls, all your O-rings and grommets, and arranging all my little trays and my beloved mustache box, getting sorted out. So lots of work going on to sort my garage and make it more usable. We've got Purdy back in pride of place on the ramp. She's been living outside for, I'm going to say close on 6 months, and you know, it's done her no harm. She's been parked on gravel in a windy area, but things like the hood have started to get ingrained dirt and bits and pieces on it, so I might have to do a bit of a hood restoration shortly. And the bodywork is clean, as in been washed, but even in the garage it gets dusty, so I've got to kind of bring her back to where she was to make me happy. Betsy, the T4, is living around the corner here at the moment, and nothing much to report there that you haven't seen in the videos. Upcoming tasks on her involve looking after some little bits and pieces on the bodywork. I mean, she's in pretty decent fettle, but she's not a show pony, and she's got a few little marks and scabs on the underside of the wheel arch return there, as you can see, and a little bit of stage there, and an actual blister there. They're probably the worst things on her, but there's a fair number of bits and pieces like that I want to address. She's got lots of scars. I mean, look at the stripe down the side. But just, you know, keeping her in good fettle rather than making her perfect. Quick update on the bumper. So she gets jet washed off. She lives outdoors all the time. A lot of you remember I did the re-blackening of the bumper, which worked really well. However, we've now got a patch there that's come off. So that didn't key properly. Now I'm going to put that down to me, as in maybe didn't use alcohol wipes effectively enough there. But the rest of the bumper, with again a small exception, has stayed very black. It's filthy at the moment. The exception, and again I think you can imagine it's down to me, here down the side of the number plate, there's a couple of bits that have come off, probably when it's been jet washed or in the pouring rain on a motorway. And where they are suggests I didn't clean it up properly. There's a couple of little patches there, look. Whereas on the flat areas, it's stayed all intact and lovely. So it might be a case of wait for better weather now, but we'll see how that keeps on progressing. Keep updating you on how that black coating continues to fare. Yogi, the Jeep Cherokee, is continuing to give absolutely flawless service. Genuinely nothing has ever gone wrong on this vehicle, touch wood. I've been using her for quite a lot of work stuff recently, again smashing out some miles, which is not ideal because this is Joe's, my wife's, daily driver really, and we do live in a reasonably rural area, and bad weather's starting to come on, and I really do need to leave her with a decent car on the drive to get around in. So that's one issue. Plus this one has a PCP on it, and it does have a mileage element, and I destroy cars on miles, so we've got to stop that. This is not new, but if you're going to find a flaw on this car, you see the blooming of the polished alloy underneath the lacquer, and you know, we haven't damaged these wheels. They did have a little bit of that before we got it. It has got worse. You can actually hear the lacquer is blown or lifted away from the surface, and this is basically typical of polished aluminium or chrome wheels in the UK. They're just not a good idea. Our weather is too bad, our roads are too salted, you know, we have narrow lanes and stones and bits flying around. Anything that damages the surface protection on these things just destroys them. But yeah, that can be dressed. It's not the end of the world. So Yogi continuing to do great stuff. Now, the meat of today's chat. Big empty space. What's going on? Well, it's kind of news of one in, one out. So, some of you will have twigged, some of you may not, that recently we sold Olive. So Olive is the T2 bay window camper van that I've been doing up for about 8 months on and off, in between driving her and enjoying her. And she'd been living in here on the ramp, and that's why Purdy has ended up living outdoors for a little while. I'll give you the quick story of why Olive has moved on, when plainly I was having some great fun with her and really enjoying the process of making her quite a sharp looking vehicle. So please don't read into this, I'm after any sort of sympathy, because I'm fine. So COVID, as we know, has changed our world quite a lot. As many of you know, I'm self-employed and I travel around the country and I pick up all sorts of bits and pieces of work. Well, I've managed to keep going during COVID, which is pretty good, and I'm very grateful for that. But it has hit us quite hard. I've changed from basically being out every day of the week and only around at the weekends to a few days every month being out on the road. So it's a different environment. And whilst that's been happening, having Olive here to work on has been really useful. Give me something to play around with. But now things are starting to pick up just a little. And by a little, I mean that I've managed to pick up some more work, which will occupy me some more of the time, but equally it's a long way from home again. And being self-employed and the nature of the work I do, it takes at least 3 months of doing anything before you get any income. So we're not through the woods yet. Came to the point of, do I carry on working on Olive, which is a great hobby, but the next few steps, things like changing the interior trim, which I'd want to do in vinyl, leather, you know, we're talking getting on towards £1,000 to do that nicely. Do I replace the canvas in the pop top? £600, something like that. Do I actually start messing around with the little scabs and blisters she had and take her to that next step and get a new respray and make her really, really sharp? And then we're talking thousands. And keep sinking money into her when I'm never going to get a lot more return unless I really do spend a lot of money on it. Or do we just say, it's been great, move her on, and then use that money to get myself another vehicle I can thrash up and down the motorways that's cheap. And if I clock up huge miles, I'm not overly worried. I'm not going to be destroying Yogi. And basically do the sensible thing, because I don't want to take Purdy out on the road as my all-day, everyday driver. I do 30,000 miles a year. She's only got 50,000 on her. So that, combined with the fact that winter is coming, and I've been using Betsy as a daily driver and camping in her, which has been a great experience, but campsites will start to close down. And will I want to be out there in the depths of winter? I don't think so. So I'm probably going to wuss out and start using accommodation. All those things combined to make the decision, let's move her on. And I'm very pleased to say she's gone to a great family who are not too far away here in Lincolnshire, who are going to look after her and enjoy her and go on adventures in her. And so Olive is adios. I've still got some footage in the can, the bits and pieces I've been doing on her, so you might see her pop up now and again, but Olive has left the fleet. Which brings us to the gap in the fleet then. So we've got Yogi. It's Joe's car really, but I use it reasonably regularly. It's our family car. We've got Betsy, the T4 camper. In the summer, I can use her as a daily and really enjoying doing that. I've got Purdy, who's, you know, fully usable as an everyday car, but I love her too much to thrash her through a British winter. So I needed a daily driver for myself. And obviously economical, cheap to buy, decent sized boot for, you know, things that I do for work is quite useful. Very comfortable for big miles is very important to what I do. And yeah, I just should get something very, very sensible. So what have I got? A few of you have been guessing. I gave one clue in one of my videos, and it was the words double glazed. And off the back of that, only one person has guessed this correctly. Gerard Booth, you are that person. So, do you want to see what I've got? The big reveal. What is the new car on the fleet? Well, through the power of editing, let's do that. Purdy, it's time to meet your new best friend. Meet my new car, everybody. The as yet unnamed X358, which is basically a box bumpered X350, the redesign by Callum of the original Jeff Lawson design. I'm not going to give you the detail today, but for now, she is a 2.7. So I've gone diesel, which means this is sort of sensible, he says, kidding himself. She is not without fault, but is in overall very good condition. She is high miles, 145,000, and she is XJL. So this is a limo X358 in full-on sovereign trim, right down to full blackout glass, double glazing, rear TVs, the full 9 yards. And we're going to be getting to know each other. And it's going to be great. Well, I didn't think I was going to have some sort of sensible economy car, did you? This is an economy car. So, it's going to be really interesting. I'll do a video shortly that sort of shows all the details of her inside and out, what she is, what she's like. I'll share with you the list of faults I've already found. I'll consider telling you how much I paid for her, but she was cheap. And although I keep calling her she might be a he, because she has no name. So if you want to put some suggestions in, it's not a competition because I'm choosing. Here's the registration, if that helps or hinders. She's very dark blue, metallic, and all suggestions for a name are encouraged. There are a few spinning through my head, but I don't want to colour your judgment. So it's down to you guys to do a bit of thinking.